Doesn't it suck when a game that you enjoy is stuck on a platform that's generations old? That's why it was so cool when in 2021 Scott Pilgrim actually got remastered for modern consoles like the Switch, Steam, PS4, etc, etc. That game went from forever delisted to now suddenly playable everywhere. And if that can happen, why don't we talk about games that I feel deserve a modern remake or remaster? I hope you don't mind that I made a sort of PowerPoint presentation to discuss all the titles I'm going to be referring to in this video. The criteria for the remake or remaster is that it has to be on a platform or console that's at least 2 generations old. So PS3 and below are the titles that I'm referring to. Alright, let's get to it. These are my games that deserve a modern remake or remaster. First of all, before we get too deep into anything, be sure to comment below what game that I missed that I didn't add on the list either because I forgot, I didn't want to, or I didn't know about it. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Alright, let's get started. Number 1, I feel a lot of people will immediately go, yeah, that one. That is correct. Asura's Wrath. God, man. If you didn't know, Asura's Wrath is a video game that was released in February of 2012 for the 360 as well as the PS3. It was published by Capcom, developed by CyberConnect, the same people who did the Naruto games that you're familiar with, Ultimate Ninja Storm and the like. It's a single-player action beat-em-up. However, the thing about this specific anime game is that it's more of an interactive anime with QTEs, spectacular-looking boss fights. The game looks great. As a game, though, it's kind of mid, as the kids say. But this is your boy, Asura. His deal is that his comrades betrayed him, killed his wife, kidnapped his daughter, banished him to Earth, and now he's very angry. Game's fun. Actually, real quick, I wouldn't know. I haven't played it. I'd be one of those people that's just, oh, Asura's Wrath player is excited to play Asura's Wrath for the first time, but I'd be down. Believe it or not, the most recent reference of Asura's Wrath was in 2019 when Capcom did the weirdest thing of adding a bunch of Capcom characters to Street Fighter V Championship Edition as skins. Not the actual character. I would be totally complacent if Ashura was playable in this game, which wouldn't make any sense. If it was in Marvel Infinite, that would make more sense. But it is a skin for Kage, that Ashura. Now let's play the scenario and say, okay, cool. The Ashura's Wrath is in fact coming to our reality now, soon. What is my plan for that? Put it on all modern platforms. Series X, PS4, 5, Steam, etc, etc. Maybe the Switch. I don't know. If it's on Switch, cool. If it's not, I think we'll be fine. I think Steam is definitely the biggest contender in a lot of these remakes, remasters, because if it's on PC, even if it gets delisted, it's not delisted. It survives. It survives after death once it's on Steam. If it's just an HD remaster of the original game, I think that would be fine. But they need to bundle all the DLC into it because the game's ending is actually locked behind a paywall, which is stupid and it was very weird at the time. Bundle the game as a finished game, yeah. If for whatever reason they decided they wanted to remake it, I think either Platinum should do it or they should remake it in the RE engine and just do it in-house. That's not the only game they should be doing in-house, but we'll get there when we get there. I don't know, man. Just put Ashura on something. He's cool. With the recent MVC mods that are coming out for Marvel 3, I mean, he's so cool. Moving on. Secondo. This next title you might know, and if you don't, then that's very understandable. Digital Devil Saga, Shin Megami Tensei. I'm fairly confident that one of these Shin Megami Tensei titles are coming back, like how Nocturne ended up on Steam and modern platforms, as well as Persona 4 Golden, which, man, that was such a good play on them. Atlas. Ooh, Atlas. Came out in 05 and 04 for the PS2, the first and second game. There's 2 games. I'll go into more detail later. In 2014, it was on the PS3 PlayStation Network store, but it was only the PS2 version, so there weren't really remakes, I guess, ports technically. Is there a term for that? I forget exactly what it's called. It's some sort of legacy thing. Published and developed by Atlas, because of course they were, and it's a JRPG, Japanese role-playing game. Here is your ragtag team of heroes. Look at these guys. We got your main character boy, Surf, your silent protagonist, he who is 100% down for cannibalism. I'll get to that. Argilla, who's not down for the cannibalism. Gale, your silent boy-ish. He did nothing wrong. Just pointing that out there. And Cielo, you're Jamaican. So the premise about this is that there's this whole world is separated into different tribes. I believe they went to go on a mission. An explosion occurred. the end result was everyone getting these sigils. They can now turn into demons, and now it's a huge turf war. And the whole cannibalism thing is because if you don't eat demons, you die. And then there's the sequel, which I don't want to get into because that's spoiler territory. And even if you haven't played it or know the game, I'm not going to go there. This game's cool. This game's really cool. The most recent reference to this game is nothing. This game actually hasn't been talked about in a while. I mean, even when they did the Persona 5 DLC thing with all the other older SMT titles and whatnot, Digital Devil Saga wasn't on there. It's very, very weird. Moving on, we should just put it on every modern platform available, just like the Nocturne game. It could be PS4, Steam, Switch, Xbox, whatever. However, knowing Atlas, it's possible it might just be PS4, Steam, and Switch, which is totally fine. Totally fine. Modern enough. I think it should get the Cyber Sleuth treatment, which that means is that you bundle the first game with the second game, because the events that take place in the first game and your decisions and whatnot will actually have an effect on the second game. So if you bundle them together, you can transition straight from 1 into 2 with no issues at all. You actually don't need to make any sort of adjustments to the game's mechanics because it doesn't have fusion, just like the other SMTAs do. It's more like Final Fantasy with the entire skill sphere tree and all that. Your party members that were back here, this is your party right here. You won't have to worry about fusion management because this is all you have to deal with. All you have to worry about is your team management. Come on, Atlas. You gotta put them in something. Come on. It's been so long. This is a hidden, underrated gem, even by Atlas standards, because I believe the Japanese audience at the time wasn't really a big fan of this game. And it's crazy because having seen my friend play it recently, this game was cool. And believe it or not, if you go to Amazon, you can actually get 1 and 2 for the PS2 for about $30 each, which isn't bad considering how old of a title this game is. And if for whatever reason you can't find this game on eBay or any sort of modern way, or any sort of older platforms with the game and disc already in your hand, you could always just give up. Digital Devil Saga really deserves to be the next set of remasters that Atlas decides to do. Please. Y'all want to talk about games that really deserve remasters? I mean, technically all of them, but this game in particular really deserves more attention. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective. I know a lot of people who know about it just immediately say this game's great, and I had the pleasure of playing it recently. Yeah, the game is very great. The game is amazing. It was released in between 2010 and 2012. To verify, the reason why I don't specify specific dates is because there are global releases. So in between 2010 and 2012 were the Japanese release, the Australian release, Europe, America, etc., etc. Writing down all those dates wouldn't make any sense for me. Strangely enough, it ended up on the iOS somehow. And I saw gameplay of it. It was, it worked. It honestly worked. It's a DS game, so normally both of the screens would be important, and because of the nature of this game, you don't need the top screen. It just adds more detail. Published and developed by Capcom. There's a lot of hidden gems Capcom has that will be prevalent throughout this list. The main premise goes as such. This is your boy, Sissel. He is dead. Because he's dead and he has no idea how, he has to figure out how it happens. He has the ability to possess objects. I believe it's called tricking. You possess objects, you control the environments around them, prevent other people's deaths as you figure out what happened to yourself. There's also time travel, so to speak, so the second someone dies, you go, okay, go back in time for the past 4 minutes, solve those puzzles, prevent their death, go back to the future, and then go, alright, can you explain how I died? The mystery behind it is very interesting. It has really cool animations in the game. They're actually modeled. I don't know if they're sprites exactly. It's a DS game. It's hard to tell the quality sometimes. The most recent reference of this, you probably wouldn't believe. It was in 2017 with Dead Rising 4, because Dead Rising 4 did this interesting Capcom promo where they had a bunch of different series integrated in the gameplay of Dead Rising 4, Sissel being one of them. He actually does the same thing. He attacks with the objects that he would possess in the game. This was very interesting and hilarious that this is the most recent remembrance of Ghost Trick. So if it's brought back, how do you go about it? We put it on Switch. Because of the platform, you could probably have it vertical, have it act out as, say, the original Switch version, or it can act like the iOS version. Steam, because it's Steam, they can honestly still keep it as the iOS version, and Android, mainly because if it was on the iOS, putting it on Android probably shouldn't be any different. I wouldn't know. I don't play mobile games, nor do I know about its structure. You know how Phoenix Wright recently got their, I guess, remasters onto onto modern systems and the entire game was just redrawn, that would be cool. It's not a requirement. I think if they just put a one-for-one version, or at least the iOS, onto modern platforms, that'd be cool. But if they decided to redraw everything to add on to, I guess, a modern flair, that'd be cool too. This game is pretty slept on, honestly. If for whatever reason you happen to have your old DS lying around and a copy of Ghost Trick, try it. It's good. You know, I spent so much time working on this list and making sure everything was in order, I kind of forgot the games that I was going to refer to. I guess I'll be as surprised as you are. God Hand, yeah, you know what? I completely forgot about God Hand. This is intimidating, this game. 06 and 07 for the PS2, published and developed by Capcom. It's a single player beat 'em up. You know Devil May Cry, that's a lot of what this game is, but with tank controls. This game is also really good. It did get review bombed when it was dropped, despite being a sick title, and I think the reason why was because, don't quote me on this, IGN didn't feel like playing at the time, and I think they knew that the game was cool and had potential, but there some other stuff was going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, I know I probably am. A lot of people go, this game's sick, and for me personally, this game is scary and intimidating, and I honestly don't want to play it, but at some point I have to. I feel like I have to at some point. This is your boy, Gene Gray. No, that's someone else entirely. His name is Gene though. I forget the exact story, I also never played this. I believe he was bestowed upon this God Hand, and then he had to, take care of some chick named Olivia, get her to a location, hilarity ensues, I guess. The only reference I could find of God Hand was in Project X Zone. I know this is a cover of Project X Zone 2, but the main reference I'm referring to is the first one for the 3DS. Apparently Dante mentioned something about God Hand in general. I couldn't find the actual visual, so I'm just putting this here as a placement. Real quick, Project Cross Zone, Project X Zone, I don't care, was a really cool idea for a video game. It sucks that they made the levels extremely long for no reason. Because of how long and annoying the levels were, it's a 7. Just like previous slides, a majority of the games I'm going to be referring to are just put them on anything modern. Very few times will I exclude a specific console, but even then I'll go, if it's on other stuff, cool, but the main focus would be these specific consoles. For God Hand, just put on everything. Again, if it's on Steam, it just doesn't die. I want modern controls because this game has tank controls, which means, say you move up and down, you can do that, but moving left and right will also change the camera. Very old school controls. And I think it'd be best if they decided to drop that and add a feature, or at least an option where the controls are modern. But let's say they didn't do the remaster, or even with this, and they wanted to remake it. RE Engine, they have the thing. They made Devil May Cry. This is here. It's right here. I'm not lying when I say this though. I'm too scared to play this game. Okay, what we got next on our agenda? Yes, 100% yes. JoJo ASB is stuck on that PS3. I'm telling you. 2013, 2014, PS3 only. Published by Namco, developed by CyberConnect. You can tell because of the soundtrack, if you ever played the game. It's a really fun fighting game too. Even if you're not a fan of JoJo, if you're a fan of fighting games at least, this is definitely a fun one. I mean, it's JoJo, so the obvious main characters are the JoJos. I didn't put all of them, even though I probably should have for this slide. Jotaro is probably the most well-known and mainstream. Jolene is also really cool, and I just want to put her on here. And part 6 is out at the moment of me making this video. Made sense to add her. It's JoJo, so I don't think any references are needed. If you want to be technical, we can say Eyes of Heaven if referring to video games specifically. Johnny and Jonathan are being covered here. I'm sorry. But Eyes of Heaven, I believe, has the models of the older JoJo ASB characters. So technically, reference. But in reality, it's JoJo. Everything's a JoJo reference. Steam. Put it on Steam. That will be fine. If it's on other consoles too, yeah, cool. First of all, being realistic, if they were to do something like this, it'd be on PS4, like Eyes of Heaven. But if for whatever reason they went, you know what, put it on Steam, this is the answer right here. Because all I feel they would have to do is just put it on Steam and someone can just mod in the translated text so that everyone has their proper stand names. Sticky Fingers instead of Zipperman. Little Bomber is not Aerosmith, etc, etc. I just want the game to get a remaster for modern platforms because it's a really fun fighting game. Unlike Eyes of Heaven, which I'm not saying is not fun, I'm saying it's more of a single player campaign experience. Despite how fun the game is, I think my main issue with it is the frame rate drops. The frame rate will constantly drop on the PS3. If you can get at a constant 30 or a constant 60, that'd be great. The game has online, so you gotta staple in that rollback or someone's gonna do it for you. I'm totally fine with it. Also add all the DLC. Lisa, Fugo. It's been 10 years. 9 years? 9 years? There's nothing wrong with bundling your DLC of a previous title. It makes things easier for purchase. If for whatever reason you wanted to add additional DLC onto it, then yeah, add a price. But this game's old, so there's no reason to not add everything bundled into it. JoJo ASB is fun. I was playing it a lot recently. Game good. Number 6. Where's the direction we're going with this? Yes! P4AU. This game's great. You know what? This was actually the best outcome of the Persona 4 milking craze, where it got an anime, the dancing game, a blah blah blah. This was definitely the best thing to come out of it. The fighting game. It came out in 2013 to 2014 on arcades, 360 and PS3, published by Atlas and Sega Europe. I believe this information was for Arena as well as Ultimax, even though it didn't specify. Developed by Arxis and Atlas, so you already know it's going to be a really solid fighting game because Arxis does some really good stuff. You know the main character about this game. I'm joking. It is getting a remaster, even though there's going to be no rollback netcode day one. I think that's fine. I enjoy this game enough to not care, and we have Parsec and we have other things. I'm covering it with my face cam stuff. It's going to be out March 17th of 2022. And if you happen to have Persona 4 Golden in your Steam library already, you can technically get it at a discount for around 20 bucks instead of the 30. Fact check me right now as I'm making this vid. It's possible that I'm wrong, but I know I saw it for about 20 bucks because I had P4G. Man, this game's fun. I cannot wait for modern people to get their hands on this 9-year-old fighting game. And I think all the DLC is going to be here too. So whatever things I was going to say, except for the rollback, they've basically handled. That means we get to move on to 7. And I'm fairly certain I remember this one. Y'all know about Power Stone. What y'all know about Power Stone? What y'all know? Probably more than me, because I've played this game, but not as much as other people definitely have. This game's fun. We're getting into older territory now because this is a Dreamcast title, released in 1999 for arcades as well as the Dreamcast. This is 2 games. There's Power Stone 1 and Power Stone 2. I want to make that clear. It's going to be very important for this. 2006 got a Power Stone collection, which I believe came with 1 and 2. Don't fact check me on that. I'm not taking that out. Published and developed by Capcom. Well, look at that. Isn't it interesting how Capcom is a prominent contender on the list? It's almost as if they had a cool selection of titles that kind of just existed, and that's it. It's an arena fighting game. It basically means that you're not running on a 2D plane, you're running more on a 3D plane. There are items on the floor that you pick up, there are power stones that you can use to transfer your form. For example, the boy Edward Falcon. I don't actually know if he's the main character, but I am familiar with this boy, and he will be prominent in the next couple slides. This is what happens when he gets all 3 Power Stones. He becomes his power-up version. The reason why I'm specifying Power Stone 1 and 2 is because Power Stone 1 plays the same as 2, the difference being the amount of people you can play. Power Stone 1 has 2 people, where Power Stone 2 has 4 people. So I guess, I don't know mechanically which one's better, but I know second one would probably be more of the party game, where one would probably be more the competitive one. I don't know exactly. I just know they're both really good. You would not believe the most recent reference of the Power Stone boys. Boy, I guess. I think it's only Edward Falcon that got a recent reference. SF5 again. Isn't this weird? A strange call to action that that SF5 was doing. Ken gets an outfit for Edward Falcon 2021. The fact that Capcom even decided to acknowledge their mascots in this sort of manner is very cool and interesting. It might allude to something in the future. It probably means nothing. The fact that he even decided to do something like this is hopeful, maybe hopeful. All modern consoles, again, just like other games, they can actually bundle both of the titles, because ideally, switching between both of the games would be better than having to buy both of them individually. Add rollback as well as online, because it would be a lot more fun to play with people online, whether it's Power Stone 1's 1v1 or Power Stone 2's free-for-all insanity. And if it's just the basic remaster, upscale, whatever, it's put on modern consoles, oh, it looks the same, but more HD. I think that's fine. I think the fact that they would decide to put Power Stone on anything modern is more than enough. They didn't have to add anything. That's actually going to be it for this video. The second half isn't really done yet. It'll be up next week, but until then, be sure to like this video, comment below what series I definitely missed that you would want to be brought back, and we can just acknowledge that it's not going to happen, and subscribe, as I'd appreciate it. Be seeing ya.